So Maine becomes the second state of the union to disqualify Donald Trump from being on the ballot for having engaged in insurrection. Welcome to Law and Society. We're briefly going to talk about it. So, Maine Secretary of State has ruled that Donald Trump is disqualified from being on Maine's presidential ballot. So, this is different from Colorado, which was an opinion that was delivered by Colorado's Supreme Court. In Michigan, the issue of disqualification went through the courts, and in this one, it's Colorado Secretary of State, who is the head elections officer in that state, who makes a finding. And the Secretary of State says Trump's occasional requests that rioters be peaceful and support law enforcement do not immunize his actions. A brief call to obey the law does not erase conduct over the course of months. The weight of evidence makes clear that Mr. Trump was aware of the tinder laid by his multi month effort to delegitimize a democratic election and then chose to light a match. So, the Secretary of State of Maine is cognizant that it is an unprecedented decision that she has made. She says that I'm mindful that no Secretary of State has ever deprived a presidential candidate of ballot access based on Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. I'm also mindful, however, that no presidential candidate has ever before engaged in insurrection. That is an important point because it is not this proceeding or the proceeding in Michigan or the proceeding in Colorado that is undemocratic. What was undemocratic was inciting and engaging in the insurrection. What this disqualification process of Section 3 is just a remedy. It is the Constitution's answer for when it has been betrayed. So the Secretary of State also makes a point that this ruling by the Secretary of State would not be enforced until the state courts in Maine get to review the case. So she keeps it open for judicial review. And of course, Donald Trump has his takes on it. But this is, when I started talking about disqualification and talking about the article written by the conservative professors of law from who are active members of the Federalist Society, they talked about anybody having qualification to handle elections. Who are the people who have qualifications to handle elections? That is the Secretary of State. Now, there is a due process of law question, and that will be met by judicial review when the courts take up this finding of fact and conclusions of law of the Maine Secretary of State. It's important to remember that every single state has its own procedures and will implement Section 3 of the 14th Amendment according to what their procedures say. The Secretary of State in this instance said that they are cognizant of Section 5 of the 14th Amendment that talks about enforcement, but it does not leave enforcement exclusively in the domain of Congress. It does give states, Congress, states, and electors the ability to decide who is qualified or not. So the Secretary of the State, who is the top election official for Maine, has made this ruling. This ruling will go up for judicial review, and we are going to follow it as it goes through judicial review. So with that said, I will close. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment box, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Anything else? Nope, not for now. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.